Hello, Valentine. I'm an international burlesque performer, producer, and educator. I think it's a very dynamic name in that people, whichever they identify me with, they call me that, whether it's the first or the last name. The concept of rebirth is something that I think about a lot in my life and with my experiences as a queer person and as a person who suffers from an invisible illness like depression. I've gone through lots of different periods in my life, and I feel like I've been born again several times, and not in a spiritual way always necessarily, but I feel like I have cycled through a few different lives in one lifetime, if that makes sense. So I think especially when you're dealing with something like illness, something that's trying to beat you down or trying its damnedest to do that, it's important to reinvent yourself and, you know, take everything in stride and find new ways to make it work when you find that the old ways are not working. So I think it's important to just like go with the flow of that and like find what helps you be functional, what helps you find joy, what helps nurture your relationships, and sometimes it takes a different approach. So it's just always been important to me to like always stay true to myself, but keep reinventing how I interact with myself and how I interact with the rest of the world to just get through and just to survive, but also to thrive. Mm-hmm. But of course, any artist is influenced and inspired by or encouraged by the things that they experience day to day in their life. And for me, that is being a queer woman of color who has depression. Mm. And sometimes that's very literally reflected, like in Queer, Ill, and Okay. And sometimes it's, you know, just something subtle, maybe something internal that turns on in me while I'm creating something. So I'm really lucky day to day. I don't encounter a lot of pushback with the people I surround myself with. But, you know, outside of the queer community that I try to spend my time around, I mean, yeah, things happen. Mm-hmm. And it's not always comfortable, but I've found, you know, in the community that I have chosen to be a part of, it's not really a problem. And if something does come up, like, it's something we can have a conversation about, which is really nice. Like, I don't expect everyone to be 100% totally on it, you know, saying the right thing all the time, because that's crazy. No one can do that. I don't know anyone capable of that. If there is someone capable of that, I would like to meet them, but I don't think I'd want to hang out with them because they'd probably be a little intimidating. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just really important to be with people who are willing to learn and grow with you. It's important to find our common ground, and people's, you know, prejudices and stereotypes, you know, whether they're positive or negative, tend to make folks others instead of finding what you can identify with in someone. So I think we're all a lot more alike than some people would like to admit or acknowledge. So yeah, I think just the idea that someone who is differently abled, or someone who is queer, or someone who, you know, has an illness in any form is somehow inherently a different type of person. And that's not to say that we aren't all different, because we are all different and we all have something unique to bring to the table, but there are a lot of things about us all that are the same. So I think if we could highlight that a little bit more, that would probably help people work together.
Once I built a railroad, made it run, made it race against time.
Well, I've always loved music and dancing and performing and art in general. Been singing, acting, and dancing since really before I could walk and talk. My father was a musician, and I have a lot of musicians and artists in my family, and so it just always came naturally to me. But I did find, as depression took hold of my life, that it was my salvation through a lot of it. It definitely like helped me through some really, really dark times. Just being able to create, being able to read and listen to and discover other people's artwork was really, really important to me. And I mean, I would say that art definitely saved my life. I found out about an audition through a friend a really long time ago, over 7 years now. And I'd always been interested in burlesque, and I'd never seen a show until January of 2007. I saw a really amazing show put on by a production company that moved out of town, but they were called the Sissy Butch Brothers. And it had Margaret Cho and Julia Atlas-Muse and lots of local Chicago performers who I later met when I got into the scene. So that was really exciting to finally like see a show live. And I was watching the show, just watching all these people doing all these crazy, amazing things, and I was like, well, I should probably do that. And so just 4 months after that, I found out about this audition, and I went out on it, and I got an understudy role with a local troupe, and I started performing with them regularly. And then about a year later, I broke out as a soloist and started touring nationally in the next year and a half or 2 years. So yeah, I just sort of decided, okay, this is it. That's what I'm gonna do.
And do you have a favorite performance of yours?
Anyone watching this who's seen my work is gonna be like, say IKEA, say IKEA. Act where the costume is made largely of parts of IKEA bags. So that's definitely one of my signature pieces.
Those big blue bags?
Yeah, the big blue bags. That's one of my signature pieces, and it's definitely like an audience favorite. And it's been one of my favorite ones to work on, but I've done it a lot. My new favorite right now, my current favorite, is my Meditation on Money act, which is a medley of a bunch of different songs about money. And it's a really, really fun piece. I don't know, I really, really like it, and I find that people tend to identify with it really strongly because it's a wide variety within the medley, and so everybody has that one song that they're like, oh, that song, yes, yes. So that one's always really fun. And the piece that I did at Queer LNOK was definitely, the most directly personal. A lot of my pieces are personal, but very few of them tell my story in such a direct and literal and raw way. So it was really nice to be able to do that. So I guess I have different favorites for different reasons.
I spent a score of years thinking I didn't have a family. One night, someone held my hand and said, "You've got me."
I'm not a terribly shy person. I guess a lot of people would probably consider me an ambivert. I'm kind of an extrovert and kind of an introvert. I kind of am in the middle a lot of the time, and I cycle back and forth between the extremes. But as far as, performing for people and interacting with people, I find people really fascinating, so it's not terrifying or anything. I tend to be pretty outgoing in those sorts of situations, but sometimes it's nice to be alone and have quiet time and not have to perform or entertain people. But I really, really love what I do, and that involves people, and that's a part of it, and I love it. Go to my website, cruelvalentine.com. You can find links in my media tab. If I had to explain myself in one sentence, I would say fluid. Just one word, fluid. In my identity, but my work and how I view the world, just fluid.